Panic attacks are horrible. They are so scary. It affects our whole body. Sometimes it can even feel like a heart attack, but it is possible to learn how to manage it when it's triggered and learn how to help our body and our mind feel safe again. Welcome to Therapy Explained. My name is Deniss. I'm the therapist of color for people of color and your very own mental health cheerleader. This video is the last video in our anxiety series. For the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about all things anxiety. I've been sharing tips, interventions, and information to help you better manage your anxiety. To make sure that you catch all of those videos, make sure to subscribe and watch the playlist for the anxiety series. Give this video a thumbs up if you're a big fan of learning how to manage your own mental health. But let's just jump right into it. Today we're going to be talking about panic attacks. What are panic attacks? So panic attacks are a symptom that is sometimes part of an anxiety diagnosis anywhere in the spectrum of anxiety. You don't need to have PTSD in order to have panic attacks. There's also a diagnosis known as panic attack disorder, and then there is also generalized anxiety disorder within the spectrum of all the anxiety disorders. But the panic attack itself can just be a symptom of increased anxiety. It can sometimes be triggered because if we have PTSD by a reminder of the incident. So what does it actually feel like in our bodies though? As I mentioned, it's really overwhelming and it takes over our mind and our body. We can have really, really scary catastrophizing thoughts, a lot of cognitive distortions, and our heart rate and our breathing rate will increase rapidly. You might also start feeling a little bit dizzy or weak, a little jittery, so you might have to hold on to something. And this is part of the coping skills that I'll talk to you about to learn how to manage some panic attacks if you do have any. So it's very much all in our body. We can feel a tightening in our chest. And again, some of these will mimic a heart attack because it's in our chest. It's a lot of breathing. It's a lot of dizziness or weakness. Sometimes we can feel that kind of pain and numbing in our upper body because, again, of everything that our body is doing. It's completely turned on and we'll feel really, really scared. So that's what a panic attack feels like. Sometimes it can be triggered in the middle of the night. We can actually be woken up by a panic attack. And that's because when we're sleeping, our brain, part of what our brain does is it's processing our memories throughout the day, our experiences throughout the day, and then choosing what will become a long-term memory and what are things that we don't necessarily need to remember and can kind of do with. And so as it's doing that processing of our experiences throughout the day, it can get to a point somewhere throughout our day that we experience an increased level of anxiety, and then that'll trigger us into an anxiety because we might not have been paying attention to it, or we might be living a very fast lifestyle of just kind of go, productivity, work, and we're not paying attention to the things that are happening around us. And so as our brain is processing that throughout the night, it can trigger a panic attack during our sleep. But of course, it can also happen during the day. As I mentioned, it can sometimes be connected to PTSD, which means that we've had a traumatic incident sometime throughout our development or our adulthood, and it can be triggered by any sort of sensory input. So this is either because we hear something similar to our traumatic incident or our trauma. It might be because we see something about it, maybe on the news, or we've witnessed somebody experience something similar to what we lived through. But it can also be smells. Something might smell similar, a perfume, a scent that reminds us of the incident. It could also be a sound, some sort of music perhaps, or somebody's voice. So it can be any sort of sensory input that reminds us of the incident, and it'll trigger a panic attack. As I mentioned before, the reason why a lot of this happens to us, why anxiety is triggered, is because our brain is trying to protect us, particularly if our panic attacks are directly connected to our traumatic incident. Our brain is trying to tell us that something is happening. Again, those sensory inputs. Something is happening that is not safe for us. So we need to do something. It just kind of goes into override, and it's up to us to teach and tell our body that we're okay and it doesn't need to be working this hard. So let's talk about some coping tools and things that you can do to help you manage panic attacks when they are triggered. Managing them requires insight. So as I talked about a traumatic incident, increased levels of stress and anxiety throughout the day, it's important for us to be aware of what our patterns and behaviors are. What is our lifestyle doing to our overall sense of safety and to our levels of anxiety and stress? And is there something that we can manage there? I talked about some of this in my mental health staircase and staircase of wellness. So if you want to check out that video, please go ahead and do that. Everything that you do will affect your mental health. And I also talk about how to manage it. So be insightful. Learn how to practice the self-reflection of what you're doing throughout your day that could be affecting you and your levels of stress and anxiety. Once you know that, you can also learn how to be proactive. So it's important for you to have a behavior, a pattern, a habit of using coping skills and particularly grounding tools like meditation, yoga, deep breathing. Things like going for walks, journaling, gardening, puzzling, reading, things that are sedentary that will help your body relax and calm are super important. I talk about this in my coping skills video because if you haven't done a coping skill and you're trying to do it when you are triggered, your body won't know what you want it to do. So you have to have a habit of coping skills so that your body and brain can recognize it and know exactly what to do and will be able to transition into that coping skill much better. So we talked about being insightful and we talked about being proactive, but this might happen for you anyway, particularly if you are dealing with a traumatic incident. So what do we do in the moment? As I mentioned, it's a lot of sensory inputs that will trigger our panic attack. So we're going to use the same technique to help us get out of it. Using things like soothing smells, more safety triggering smells will be key. Things like lavender or perhaps roses, whatever feels soothing to you, do that. So you can do this with essential oils that you keep in your bag to take a whiff at and help your body relax. It can also be by putting on soothing music, meditation music. Learning how to relax your breath will also be key. So there are some coping tools in the moment that you can use that will help you feel more grounded and safe by touching a chair. Take a seat if you're in the middle of a panic attack, sit down, touch a chair or touch the floor, touch walls around you, ground yourself in the here and now. Start to refocus your thoughts into things that are happening in this moment. So some people find it helpful to repeat to themselves their name, their age, their address, or you can talk to yourself about where you are right now. I'm at the grocery store. I'm here because I went to purchase this. Today is Monday. Today is, Thursday. Today is it's 11 a.m. So just facts about right now, who you are, will help you feel more grounded in the right now. And even identifying things in front of you, like I see a chair, I see a wall, I see a plant, I see a window, or naming colors. So again, any of these coping skills are about helping you feel more grounded in this moment instead of letting the scary thoughts take you back to a traumatic incident or to keep you stuck in a negative thought or scary thought. So recentering and refocusing your thoughts and energy into the right now will be key. As I mentioned, using your senses are also going to be key, like using scents. And then the reason why I'm such a big fan of meditation and yoga is because you learn how to relax your muscles and how to relax your breathing. So in a panic attack, it's super, super important for you to try to just take deep, deep breaths as much as you can. In the middle of a panic attack, it's hard to go from the to just That's a big difference. So it's okay, take it slow, be patient with yourself, but try to deepen that breath as much as you can. A little bit deeper each time, and then a little bit longer of an exhale, more and more until it feels like a calmer breath. Focusing on your breath will also help, because then you're not thinking about the traumatic incident and you're not thinking about the scary thought anymore. You're thinking about and concentrating on your breath. Other sensory things that you can do is a lot of rubbing your arms. So this can be really helpful. If you start rubbing your arms or rubbing your chest, it can help again ground you and bring you to the right now. If you have a partner, friend, or family member that is with you in the moment and that is willing to help, asking them to give you a very, very, very tight hug can also be really helpful. Or if you can do that for yourself, just a lot of tightening, of coming to the right now, can also be very, very helpful. So let's review before we go. Number one, panic attacks are often triggered by a reminder, a sensory input or stimulus that reminds us of a traumatic incident, or by something that can trigger a very, very scary thought. Learning how to manage this is going to require you to develop some insight about what those triggers are. Therapy, as always, is what I will recommend for you to have a space where you can identify your triggers and be proactive about them, which leads me to the next part about learning how to manage your panic attacks, which is insight is great, but then after that, you need to be able to develop a plan and be proactive about your panic attacks. So developing a habit of coping tools is going to be key, something that you're doing every day or consistently enough for your body to learn it and to know it so that it can actually be useful to you when you need it in the moment. From there, in the middle of a panic attack, use your senses. Sight, smell, sound, or touch will help you greatly and immensely in the middle of a panic attack. Touching things around you, tight hugs, rubbing, listening to calming music, using a scent, lotion, perfume, essential oils, a candle, anything that is a calming scent will be very, very helpful, as well as bringing yourself back to the here and now, getting away from the scary thoughts and scary things. Progress does require practice, so if you give any of these tools, tips, and ideas a try, make sure to let me know by commenting down below. Or if there's already something that you have used that's helped you with your panic attacks, please share it with us. Remember, we are a community and constantly learning from each other, so let us learn from you. As always, your cheat sheet is already available to you on Instagram, so hop on over there to get access to it. But before you do, please give this video some love in whatever way feels authentic to you. Every like, comment, subscription, and share helps grow this community. It helps increase access to free mental health information and education. So please give it some love before you go. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, as always, I'm cheering for you.